Hey everyone, my name is Nour Fahmy, and I am the Math and Foundation stream owner here at ACE. ACE, if you've never heard of us, is a community of machine learning practitioners and researchers who have gathered around topics in AI research, engineering, and products. We host free live sessions like this 3 to 5 times a week and produce premium content in various subject areas. To see more, visit ai.science and log in to access slides from this and other sessions and many more. Also, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, ML Papers Explained, to get notified about all the free sessions and other free content we publish. We currently have more than 30 different streams that are focused on various ML topics, and this session is in Math and Foundation stream. Hope you enjoy it. Come back. So today I'm here with Xixin, who is a postdoc researcher at Cambridge University in the speech group of the Machine Intelligence Laboratory, who's previously obtained his PhD degree from the Department of Systems Engineering and Engineering Management at the Chinese University of Hong Kong. So Xixin, could you introduce us a little bit to your research interest?
Yeah, hi. So my research interests include speech recognition, speech synthesis, and also neural network uncertainty, like this. Yeah.
Very cool. And earlier we were talking about your work with speech recognition with low resource languages. Can you expand a little bit more on that?
Yeah. So nowadays we already know that speech recognition performance has been improved to quite high. Some of the companies can generate a system with as high as performance of 90% or 95% for English language. But we also found that some of the other not so worldwide used languages, which the system for them is a lot lower than 90%, sometimes 70% or 60%. So one of my interests is to improve the current ASR system for these low resource languages so that all of the people in our world can enjoy the improved performance of ASR system.
What are some blockers to improving speech recognition features for low resource languages?
Yep. The general idea of improving the low resource ASR system is trying to transfer the knowledge from some other large, let's call it large language. So suppose we have a system that have the knowledge of the large language, how to model the words, how to model the word transition, and how to model the acoustic features. So then we can transfer the knowledge from this system to help us to improve the system of low resource language. So this is the general idea, but I should say this is a challenging problem, and we still need to take care of the target language, the characteristics, and some specific knowledge in the target language. Yeah.
That's very cool. So without further ado, do you want to start us off on your talk today?
Yeah. Okay. So thank you for inviting me to talk about our recent work on neural network calibration. So today I'm trying to discuss the question that when we combine several neural network together, let's call it ensemble, then should the members of this ensemble, that is the single network, should it be calibrated or not? So I will go through this agenda with a brief introduction of calibration. I will talk about current calibration approaches, and then we'll talk about ensemble classification calibration and regression calibration. Then we'll go to the conclusions. So what is calibration? I assume some of you may not be familiar with this. I will briefly talk about this in an intuitive way. So for calibration, if a system is well calibrated, that is say that the predicted probability accurately indicates the portion of correct predictions. Like if a probability of P is predicted, say 0.6, then the samples associated with this prediction, that 60% of the time that the prediction is correct. So basically, if the system say I'm confident with this prediction and my confidence is 0.6, then in the future testing of this prediction, 60% of the time is correct. Yeah, so this is quite important in especially risk sensitive areas like medicine, research, auto driving, and also economics. However, unfortunately, it was found that modern deep neural networks are found to be ill-calibrated. That is, they are overconfident or less confident about their predictions. Let's look at what happens. So there are lots of calibration approaches that are proposed to address this problem, like to increase the data that is used to train the calibration system, or improve the calibration architecture, or improve the laws that is concerned with calibration. One of the recently attracting approaches is to do a post hoc mapping. That is to map the not well calibrated prediction to a well calibrated prediction. So in this talk, we will focus on the architecture of the ensemble and the post hoc mapping called temperature annealing. And let's look at first, we talk about neural networks. So for neural network, the training of neural network try to minimize the loss between the predicted distribution and the true distribution. And one standard distance between distribution that is used for training is scale divergence. So basically, we try to minimize such a loss. And we can find that there is a turn of entropy of the true distribution. This is can be considered as constant if the data is given. And there is a log likelihood here. So we basically minimize the scale divergence can be also considered as minimize the net likelihood. So this will be revisited later when we talk about this. So I would again explain the calibration with such a figure. So as we said, that calibration means the predictions associated with a certain probability have the corresponding accuracy. So this naturally leads to a concept called region, that is that consists of samples with similar predicted probability. Let's assume that we have a whole space for the input S, and then there is a region. In this region, all of the predicted probability is similar to each other as much as possible, like they are all similar to 0.6. And then each of the samples in this region, when they are averaged together, there is accuracy. That means how much of the time that this sample is predicted correctly. And there is an average confidence. And this confidence related to the system's confidence to all of these samples, the average samples, the average confidence. So basically for calibration, we would like the accuracy and the confidence in this region to be matched. And for different size of the regions, this mismatch means different meaning. But ideally, we would like this region to be smaller and to be as accurate as much as possible. So let's formally define it in as this. So suppose we have the whole space as RD, and then for each of this region, let's denote it as R 0.6 for the probability, J for the J's class. So for a region, we hope that the predicted probability is close to certain probability P with the tolerance of epsilon. So in this region, all of the predicted probability is close to P. And for this region, each of the individual samples have a confidence. And for the region, we have an average confidence. Also, for each of the sample, we have an individual accuracy according to the true distribution. and also you have a region accuracy. So for calibration, we would like the region accuracy and region confidence to be equal to each other for all of the probability P and all of the class omega j. And we also hope that the epsilon can be as similar as possible to 0, because ideally when it is 0, that means all of the prediction associated with one probability have the associated accuracy. So for different value of epsilon, this means the size of this region is different. When epsilon is 1, basically this region will cover all of the space. But for classification, only the top label with the max probability is considered. So we also need to be careful with the regions with only top labels. And this is directly related to the classification performance of classification system. So we already talked about there is classification performance and calibration performance. There is two ways to assess a system performance. But what's the relationship between these two? We can find two extreme cases where these two cases can yield perfect calibration. That means their predictive probability always indicates the true accuracy. So one of the system is the minimum Bayesian risk classifier. Of course, this is the best performance. Another system is always predicting the prior distribution. So in this case, all of the space will be covered by the prediction of P. So this region, the region with prediction of P, will span all of the space. And in this space, the confidence is the prior distribution, and the accuracy is just equal to the prior distribution. So it's just a random guess. So here we talk about the way to evaluate the calibration. So this is called a reliability diagram. Basically, it divides the prediction with similar probability into bins, like divide the predicted probability similar to 0 to 1 bin to 0.2 to 1 bin, and like this. So for one bin, the average confidence is calculated and the average accuracy is calculated. And the ideal case is the average accuracy and the average confidence is the same. But as we can see that this is the DenseNet 100 trend on CIFAR 100, and we can see this network is a lot overconfident, because for the bin of 0.6, we can find that the accuracy is just over 0.4, so the network is overconfident. So one simple way to calibrate the prediction is just to scale the logic barriers with a parameter t like this. So before the softmax layers. So with a smaller t, the distribution will become sharper, and with larger t, the distribution will become flatter. So with this way, the predicted probability can be adjusted. So as we can see that we use temperature annealing, so we can calibrate the DenseNet to a better calibrated system. And this is the we talk about the diagram, but we still would like to have a single number matrix to assess the calibration performance. So this actually losing the distance matrix that try to measure the difference between the true distribution and the model distribution. So for we can still use KL divergence to measure the distance between distributions for calibration, but this is only consider the global region. We averaged all of the differences over the global region. And one other option is to consider the average mismatch of region confidence and accuracy. So we can weighted sum of these differences of region confidence and region accuracy together, and we got a single metric. So there are some popular used metrics like the ECE, although we can also it is a measure of the top label calibration. So it basically try to measure the top label regions accuracy and confidence. Although we can call it top label calibration error, but we just follow the naming convention in previous literature. And so also we have a measure of all label calibration. So here we not only consider the top label, we also consider all of the classes. So far, we assume that the true distribution is known, but generally, the true distribution is unknown. We only have limited data, limited samples from the true distribution. We have X sample from the P of X, and then we have the label sample from the P omega of given X. So that means we need to balance the region size and the accurate calibration assessment. So smaller regions contains samples with more similar probability, but larger region can contain more samples. So basically, we need to decide the size of the region size of that is related to epsilon based on the data. One of the simplest region that we can consider is the global region that is tolerant of probability dissimilarity. So it basically doesn't consider the probability dissimilarity and put all of the sample together to get an overall evaluation of the calibration. So for all label, so when we set the epsilon to be 1, the region, we can see that for one classes, all of the input space will be included in the global region. And for the top label, so when we set the epsilon to 1, for different classes, the top label, the region with certain probability will be different. But if we union them together, we still can span the whole space. So let's now talk about different ensemble. So given the training data, the prediction of the observed samples can be expressed in a Bayesian way by integrating all of the parameter space. But this is intractable. And so basically, if we have several models that called M from 1 to M to capital M, and then when we average them together, basically we can consider this as a sample from the prior of the model. So this leads to the idea that we can use ensemble as a Monte Carlo approximation of the full Bayesian integration. So basically, given an X, we have different members, and for each of the member, we got a prediction, and then these predictions are combined together with equal weights to generate the output. So back to our previous dense net chain on CFA 100. So now we have 10 CFA 100 chain dense net 100, and this network already calibrated with temperature annealing. So we can see that these green lines represent the calibrated dense net. But then, if we combine them together with as an ensemble, we can find that the ensemble is less confident. For the bin of 0.6, the accuracy is as high as near to 0.8, so it's less confident. Of course, we would like the network, we don't want the network to be overconfident. We also don't want the network to be underconfident. So, of course, we can use temperature annealing to calibrate the ensemble again. So we calibrate the ensemble again to make it more calibrated. But the question is, why do we need this? When we combine a set of calibrated dense net, they are underconfident, and then we need to calibrate it again. Why do we got the underconfident system when we get the well-confident models combined. So we need to consider the calibration loss relationship between the ensemble and the members. So let's look at as we mentioned that we can use KL divergence as the metric for ensemble calibration. And by the Jensen inequality, the log mean is larger or equal than to the mean of log values. And so also, according to the ensemble definition, we know that the ensemble is equal to the combination of the members. And so we can easily find that the KL divergence-based calibration loss of the ensemble is less or equal to the mean of the members' KL divergence-based calibration loss. So this means the ensemble will be better than the average of the mean. So this doesn't explain the scenario we faced. And because we found the scenario on the reliability diagram, so we hypothesize that it is more related to expected calibration loss. So for expected calibration loss, we focus on a distance of based on regions. But generally, the ensemble members doesn't have the same regions. And these different regions, when they are combined together, they yield other different regions. So this makes the analysis complicated. So first, let's move to easier cases where global regions are considered. So for the global region, as we discussed, that if we tolerate with all of the prediction together and we put them together, then we have the global region that spans the whole space. And in this case, if all of the members are globally Allabel calibrated, we can then say that the overall ensemble is also global Allabel calibrated. What does it mean? So for each of the members, if on the global region they are calibrated, that means they are global region average confidence is equals to the global region average accuracy. Then easily we can apply the ensemble definition here, and we can find that this equation for the ensemble still holds. So we can say that the ensemble is also global Allabel calibrated. But if we move to smaller Allabel regions, if the members are all Allabel calibrated on all the same regions, then we can say that the ensemble is still Allabel calibrated on the same regions, because this is trivial if all of the members are Allabel calibrated on the same regions. Basically, these members are the same, and the combination of the ensemble is still the same. So this is a trivial ensemble that we don't want. But when the member regions are different, so when the region of the members are different, the combination still yields different regions. So it is not sufficient to make any statement. But then if we look at the top label, we look at the global top label calibration. We mentioned that for the top label, different classes, the top label region, the global region for different top label are different. Like if I look at the class J, the top label for class J, and the top label for class K, where the global region are different. However, when we union them together, we can still span the whole space. And now let's look at what will happen for the top label global region. So first, still we have the same trivial statement that if all the members are top label calibrated on the same regions, then the ensemble is also top label calibrated. But what happens when the regions are different? We can find that the ensemble has such kind of a confidence bound, that is the ensemble top label confidence, that is the predictive probability of the ensemble, is always less or equal to the mean of the members' predicted probability, because the ensemble prediction is always less for the ensemble prediction for by the members M is always less or equal to the members prediction. So basically the explanation for this equation is, for a member, it has several classes, and then it predicted that the max probability for the classes are J. And for the ensemble prediction, it can be one of the classes, and if it is not J, then then this probability is less than the prediction of the members, because it says that the probability for class J is the max, and if this is J, then the equality holds. So with this equation, we know that the ensemble top level confidence is always bounded by the mean member top level confidence. And so now we look back to the global region, and we can see that because we have the bound, so if we say that all the members and the corresponding ensemble are globally top level calibrated, then we can say that the ensemble performance is no better than the average performance of the member. Why? Because if we say that all of the members are calibrated and also the ensemble is calibrated, so for the members, the accuracy and the confidence should be equal, should be the same, and then for the ensemble is the accuracy also equals to the confidence, but the ensemble confidence is always lower than the mean of the members' confidence. So the ensemble accuracy should be lower than the mean of the members' lower than the mean of the members' accuracy. So now we have the three propositions related to the global region all-level calibration and global region top-level calibration. And when all of the members are calibrated on the same regions, we have some statement. But if the regions are different, this is not sufficient to make any statement. But generally, we have this bound, and we can also observe in empirical results that the ensemble confidence is slightly lower than the members' confidence. And here we look at some empirical results. So for if the members, so in these figures, we show the members, the DenseNet 100 members calibrated with different temperature. And then we can see that for the member, the optimal temperature for calibrating these members is here. And also, we combine the ensemble members, and then we have a temperature to calibrate these ensemble members before combining them together. And then we see what's the temperature we will need to have a calibrated member ensemble. And then we can see that the optimal temperature for the ensemble is here. So the temperature that is required to calibrate the ensemble is lower than all of the members. As we mentioned that lower temperature scale the probability to be sharper, and so we can see that the ensemble is actually less confident than the members, and this is coincident with our analysis. So so far we assume the identical member structures with equal weights, and so this rules in the Monte Carlo approximation of the Bayesian integration. But when we combine multiple topologies together, then we cannot use same weights for these topologies. Basically, if given the data, we can sum all of the topology prediction together, weighted by the topology prior. And we can also written this now as this is the we already approximated as ensemble previously. So now we need to determine this weight the weight for combining these topologies together. So this weight can be estimated by maximum likelihood. So when we combine different topologies together, like we combine LearnNet, DenseNet, or ResNet together, given an X, the output from these topologies will be combined, weighted by the prior we estimated from maximum likelihood. And we can easily verify that the above positions still hold. And we can also observe the similar phenomenon that the ensemble is less confident than average members. And let's look at this figure. For the green lines, these are the calibrated topologies: the calibrated LearnNet, the calibrated DenseNet 100, calibrated DenseNet 121, and wide ResNet. And when we combine them together, we got the red line. The red line is the combined of the calibrated topologies, and we can see that it's still less confident than the members. And when we calibrate the red line with temperature annealing, we again get a slightly better ensemble. So the number of calibration error measure also suggests this chance. So this means that when we combine different calibrated topologies with varied weights, we still can have gain. So previously we talked about classification calibration. Now we can extend the analysis to regression. So for regression, still we train a neural network to minimize the distance between true distribution and predicted distribution, and KL divergence is typically used. And so the difference between classification calibration and regression calibration is, for classification, the calibration focused on the probability values, like 0.6, this specific probability value, whether it is associated to the real accuracy of the future prediction. However, for regression, we focus on the whole distribution. So for all of the predicted distribution, we will hope that it is close to the true distribution as much as possible, so that the probability really means the probability, not neither overconfident or less confident. So similar to the classification, for regression calibration, we can also have the calibration laws based on various distance metrics. So for example, we can use KL divergence, then it is integrated on the whole region of the input space. Or we can also use the cumulative density function that measures the difference between the predicted distribution and the true distribution in another way. So as this figure shows that if we have a true cumulative density function, we have a predicted cumulative density function, and then we would like to measure the difference between them, we can average over the whole region, and then we can get the single number matrix for it. And if we're linking the regression calibration back to classification, where there is a region concept. for regression, can we have the similar concept of regions? One possible way to have the similar region here is we focus on the distribution similarity, because in classification we focus on the probability similarity. So we would like to gather those samples with predictions that is similar to certain probability value p together as a region. So here we would like to gather those samples with the predicted distribution that is close to a certain distribution together. So basically, we have a region, we have multiple distribution, and then we average it to a distribution. And we know that because all of this distribution is claimed to be close to the distribution of f, so the average distribution, if it is calibrated, we would like it also be close to the distribution. However, such kind of space is too huge for data to spot. So current literature relies on the Contidence or cumulative function as the major calibration matrix, loss matrix. So for a regression, we can also have the ensemble to combine all of the members' predicted distribution together, so which yields a mixture of distribution. Here I use Gaussian, but it's not necessarily Gaussian. It can be some more fancy distribution and combine together. So for the ensemble, if we still use the KL for the calibration loss, we can find that the ensemble calibration loss based on KL divergence is less or equal to the mean of the members' KL divergence-based calibration loss. So this means that the ensemble calibration is always guaranteed to be better than the average member calibration if we choose to view the calibration loss based on KL divergence. Also, if we view the calibration loss based on Contidence function, we can also find that the ensemble calibration is guaranteed. So I admit that I didn't show the detail of the derivation, but you can find it in our paper. So so far we talk about the calibration relationship between the ensemble and the members, and for classification calibration, we find that calibrating the members is not sufficient to ensure the ensemble prediction is itself calibrated. Also, we found that the ensemble prediction tends to be less confident than the members, and combining them together, if the members are well calibrated, combining them together will yield an ensemble with less confident predicted top labels. And for regression calibration, we can find that with the various commonly used measures, the ensemble calibration is always guaranteed to be better than the average member. So in this talk, my take-home message is calibrate the ensemble predictions when budget allows. So it's always no harm to calibrate the ensemble again. And we should be careful even when the ensemble members seem well calibrated, especially in classification tasks. The well calibrated members may yield calibrated ensemble. Yeah. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Xixin. So now I'm going to pass some questions from the audience to you.
Yeah, thank you.
Perfect. So the first one is, why do we not want our ensemble members to be calibrated on the same regions? Is that because they have the same confidence intervals?
Yeah, thank you. This is a good question. So we prefer the ensemble members to be the same in view of calibration. However, if the members have the same regions, what does it mean? It means that the members have the same predicted probability to each other. So for the first member, it predict certain probability for sample x1. For the second member, it still predict this same probability. So this means that we are combining several identical members together. So this is why we don't want the regions to be the same for the members. This is in terms of we would like to improve we would like the combination of members will improve our classification performance. Yeah.
You want a diversity of probability distributions.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But for in the view of calibration, yeah, when they are the same, well, perfect. We get a perfect calibrated ensemble from perfect calibrated members.
Can you expand on that again?
Expand the yeah. So I mean, in how do we view that we don't want the ensemble members to have the same region? From the view of calibration, if the members have the same regions, we combine them to an ensemble. We still get the well-calibrated ensemble because we actually get a garbage ensemble. It doesn't help improve the accuracy performance.
Awesome. The next question is just a clarification around confidence versus calibration and what the relationship is between the two of them.
Yeah. So for calibration, it will talk about that whether the predicted probability is associated with the accuracy. So this is what calibration try to look at. And for confidence, it's related to calibrated. So a well-confident system is well-calibrated. However, confidence also try to look at in-domain, off-domain confidence. Like if this data is seen when the model is trained, so maybe, well, I would admit that they have good confidence. But when a sample is from some unseen domain, like if I train a network to distinguish dog and cat, and then I suddenly give it a figure of rabbit. So the system, I hope that the system told me that the system is not confident to make a prediction, rather than just give me a prediction of cat or dog and then give me some high confidence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Mm-hmm.
So another question from the audience, this one comes from Amir Facepour, is should single members not be calibrated given the findings from your talk?
Yeah. So in this talk, as we show that for regression, if we view the calibration from based on KL divergence or cumulative density function, we always get the guarantee that if we improve the calibration of the members, we got a better calibrated ensemble. So for regression, it is safe, at least for the currently examined calibration loss. But for classification, then we should be careful, because for classification, if we focus on the top label, then if the members are calibrated, then the ensemble is not calibrated. And if we calibrated the members, that means we need to calibrate the ensemble again. So in this talk, we try to make the conclusion that if the ensemble members are calibrated, we still need to calibrate the members in the classification task. Yeah, but should the ensemble members be calibrated or not? This is still an open question, because as we say that the regions, when the regions are different, we cannot make sufficient statement. And if we cannot make sufficient statement, we don't know if we calibrated them, whether we will get some accuracy performance decrease for the ensemble, sorry. Yeah.
Awesome. And then this last question has more to do with your research interest at the very beginning that you talked about. It's, could you give some examples of some low resource languages?
So some low resource language. So let's say if so some authentic language that is comparatively low resource to standard English. It's like if I say if because I learn English, I it's not my native language, so my English is not so native. So my accented English can be considered as a low resource language compared to English, right? So you can also see that standard language or some language that is more used compared to some language that is less used, like my accented language, that is less used or less corrected. Data is less corrected for such kind of languages. We can call it low resource language, but there is not a so such kind of language that is should be said.
That's really cool. I never even thought about that. What are some blockers, or what are some things you consider when building speech recognition for accented languages?
So for so for accented languages, so there is the relationship between the native language and the learned language. Like, take myself as an example. If I would like to analyze why I pronounce certain word in English as not so native, I will try to find some of the pronunciation rules in my native language, and then we can find that okay, there is some relationship. Like if I always pronounce "shi" as similar pronunciation in Chinese, not in English, so we can find the clue for us to model the accented language recognition. So technically, we can share the dictionary, share the decision tree we built for the states. So there is so that the general idea is we can share some of the modeling between the two languages if the pronunciation is related. Yeah.
I can only imagine how sophisticated the phonetic mappings between the two domains would be.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Xixin, for joining us today, and thank you, the audience, for joining us as well. And to see more free content like this, visit ai.science and log in to access slides from this and other sessions and many more. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, ML Papers Explained, to get notified about all the live sessions and other free content we publish. Thanks, guys, and especially thank you to Xixin for joining us today.
And thank you for your invitation. Thank you all for your excellent questions.
Cool. So, Xiang's going to